Welcome to the Letters and Sciences Business Admissions Workshop. This is where we're going to talk to you about the upcoming Business Limited Enrollment Program admissions process, the materials that you can submit, and give you advice and information on how to best approach the process and give the best application that you can. So the first question is, are you eligible to apply at the next business deadline? Have you completed or are you in the process of completing this semester the following gateway requirements? To apply to business, you need to have taken calculus. That can be Math 120 or Math 140, or its equivalent here at Maryland, or its equivalent from a transfer institution. You also need business statistics. Here that would be BMGT 230, or it can be the equivalent either here or at another institution. You need financial accounting, which is accounting 1, BMGT 220. Again, its equivalent from another institution is acceptable. As much of a gateway as the 3 classes are, you also need to have 45 earned credit hours. If you have less than that and the class is completed, they will still hold your application until the end of the semester. And if you will only be completing 44, you will be rejected if you have not actually completed the 45. So do not apply unless you will be earning 45 credit hours this semester or already have those 45 credit hours completed. You will also need, as a minimum, a 3.0 cumulative GPA, cumulative meaning that they will calculate your GPA with your Maryland classes as well as any transfer credits that you have. Now, a 3.0 is what you need to apply. It is not necessarily what you need to be a competitive applicant. When will you get your business decision? So there are 2 deadlines for business. You can apply either October 15th or you can apply in March 15th. If you are applying October 15th or March 15th and your gateways are completed, meaning that you have your grades in all 3 classes and that you have already earned 45 credit hours and they appear on your transcript and you have a 3.0 GPA, then at the October 15th deadline, you will get your answer within 2 weeks. And for the March 15th deadline, you will get your answer in approximately a month. However, if you have a gateway in progress, meaning that you don't have 45 credit hours or you are taking one of the or more of the gateway classes in this semester, then you will be held until the end of the semester, meaning that if you apply in October, you will get your answer in January. And if you apply in March, you will get your answer in June. This does occasionally include students who are transfer students who are in their first semester at Maryland, who had just been reviewed over the summer and not accepted. Often they will hold your application until the end of the semester to see how you do at Maryland. And to have new information to include in your transfer application, this time as an internal transfer. So the process for business is different than the other limited enrollment programs at Maryland. It is the only one that is competitive. That means while you only need a 3.0 cumulative GPA to apply, the only students who are guaranteed admission into the business school are students who have a 3.8 GPA or above. Again, that's a cumulative GPA, so that does include your transfer classes. And sometimes those are what may put you over the top, and sometimes those may be what pull you down below the 3.8, depending on your academic record. For students who have under a 3.0 GPA, and that's all the way up to a 3.7999, they do not round up. It is highly encouraged that you will submit supplemental materials, which we will talk about in this presentation. The GPA will be considered, as will your grades in your 3 gateway classes. You need a C- or higher, but to be competitive, again, you're going to want a higher than a C- in your gateway classes. But they will look at your entire application when you are below that 3.8. Now, the one thing to know if you do have the 3.8 or higher is that you cannot submit the application without putting something into the boxes that are part of the business LEP application. So often you may, even if you have the 3.8 and your gateway is completed, have to put at least basic information into the boxes that are required. You just may not need to put as much time and energy into making sure that you have the best materials. However, if you have a 3.8 GPA or higher and have your gateways in progress, you still want to make sure that you're putting the most information into those supplemental materials, considering the fact that you do not know what your GPA will be at the end of the semester. So what are the supplemental materials that the business school allows you to put in? One, you will be asked to submit a personal statement. Two, there will be a box that will allow you to input your job and your internship experience. Three, your leadership and volunteer experience. And then four, outside of the application, you will be able to submit up to 3 letters of recommendation. The first 3 questions, the personal statement, the job and internship experience, and the leadership and volunteer experience, those will be boxes that you can cut and paste materials into or write into. It's important to note that they are very simple text boxes, so you won't be able to bold or highlight or italicize or do anything fancy. And each box allows for up to 5,000 characters. That includes spaces and punctuation. You do not have to fill the 5,000 characters completely, but you should be aware of that amount as the deadline that you can fulfill. So let's talk first about the job and internship experience, as well as the leadership and volunteer experience. So job and internship experience is information that can be taken directly from your resume. So you can cut and paste from your resume your job and your internship experience into this first box. If you do not have a resume, or it is something that you're working on and you're not happy with, you can also use this format that you see on the card here. One of the things we would say is do not censor your jobs. You want to include all of your employment. I often have students who say to me, oh, but I was just a busboy, or I was just a nanny, or I was just this, or I was just that. The fact is they are all jobs and they all have responsibilities, and they all have some connection to the skills that you need for business. And so you want to make sure, especially because you do have 5,000 characters and you are just including the job and internship experience from your resume, not your education, your clubs and organizations, et cetera, in that box, your name, your address, et cetera. You have lots of room to put things in. So even if something has not made your resume, because your resume should only be 1 page and this is 5,000 characters, make sure you're including it in your job and internship experience. What you do want to think about, though, when you are doing this is you are not applying to be a busboy or a nanny or a lab assistant or any of those things. So when you are doing the bullets, which in this case you need to put dashes, not bullets because of the simple text boxes, you want to concentrate in that description on the skills that you used in the position, not the duties that you completed. So you're going to think about the why did I do what I did, not what did I actually do. You are not applying to be a busboy, so it is not about cleaning tables. It is about the teamwork and the time management and the communication and all of those skills that you can take from that position as a busboy and apply to your future positions in business. So remember that you want to concentrate again on skills, communication, teamwork, time management, etc., not duties. And why did you do those things? I did it to make sure that things ran smoothly, to organize, to assist, all of those things, not what did you actually do. For the leadership and volunteer experience, again, this information can be taken directly from your resume. But again, you want to include all of your involvement, even if it is not on your resume. So that means that if you are just a member of a club and not necessarily a leader, you can still include that information here. and you want to give a full and round picture of who you are and what you have done. Please note that they do not want information from high school. So you can absolutely include information from gap years that you may have taken, from transfer institutions that you may have attended, but they do not want to know that you were captain of the soccer team or president of the National Honor Society. Those are things that got you into the University of Maryland. They will not necessarily get you into the business school. And the fact is, because those are the things that got everybody into the University of Maryland. The only reason you could include something that you did in high school, with them actually paying attention to that information and not ignoring it completely. And when you used to submit this on paper, they used to literally cross it out with a marker so they wouldn't look at it. They're not going to pay attention to that material. The only way it could get included is if somehow you are still participating. So you were in Model UN in high school and you are still in Model UN in college, or you were on the soccer team in high school and you are now helping to coach the soccer team after high school. That is when you can use it. Or if it's something extremely rare and life-changing, if you were one of those, I used to say 16-year-olds who won an Olympic medal, but we just had 12-year-olds winning Olympic medals, you can include that information on there. And I have had students who've applied who've been world championships and things, or on national tennis teams, etc., who can include that information. But if it's just something that you did in your high school, then no, it is not something that you are going to include in your leadership and volunteer experience. Remember, when you are doing this, it is not about quantity, it is about quality. So don't start judging yourself if you don't have a lot to add here or in the jobs and internships box. It is about how you are going to communicate what you did do and how you put the complete picture together of who you are as an applicant. So a lot of that's going to come in the personal statement. So you want to remember in your personal statement, these are some of the things that you're going to want to make sure you do. There is no interview for the business school. This is your chance to sell yourself. So you are marketing yourself. You are, as they refer to in the business school, you are building your brand. So all of those things that you are going to talk about in that leadership box or in that job box may be something that builds your brand of why you got involved in those different organizations, what you want to do in the future, and how those things are steps on your path to that future. You would like to tell a story. You want to be vulnerable. You want to be memorable. This is not about telling the business school what they want to hear. This is about you really being who you are as an individual. The business school does not want 150 students who are all the same. They want to see that diversity of experience. And so this is your opportunity to tell your story and show your experience. You can do that by discussing past experiences. What did you overcome in the past, or what happened that set you on this path that you were on? You can also do it by talking about your future dreams. What do you want to do with the future? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to help? How do you want to look and be seen in the world? You are going to talk about what you bring to Smith, not what Smith brings to you. So this is not about how great the Smith School is and the wonderful alumni network and all of those things. It is about how you are going to be a part of that wonderful alumni network and are going to be someone that they want to have a relationship with. Here's what you're not going to do. These are my big mistakes of personal statements that I see time and time and time again. And I would love, when I see you in your business admissions workshop, not to see these things in your essay. So please do not kiss up to the business school. Do not tell them how great they are and how wonderful they are and how highly ranked they are. They already know this, and you do not need to share any more of that information. Please don't apologize for being who you are. Where I see this often, if you were freshman connection, there is no need ever to apply for being freshman connection. You don't have to talk about it at all. Don't apologize if you're a transfer student and you did not get into Maryland at first and now you have transferred in. None of that is necessary. You are talking about the things you did that you overcame, not apologizing for the things that did happen. Please leave that out. Please don't discuss your love of Shark Tank or some other popular culture trope unless it is vital to your story. If the reason that you are going to be an entrepreneur is because you watched Shark Tank and you saw this amazing product and you had an idea and now you are going to follow that idea and take it all the way, that's something you can talk about. But if you watched The Wolf of Wall Street and it made you want to go work on Wall Street, that's not a good story. Don't tell someone else's story, or which is really that popular culture piece, or someone else's dream for you. Make sure you're telling your own story. So if you are going into business because your parents said that would be a good thing to do, that's not the most exciting essay. If you are going into business because your father is in business and you worked with him and he didn't speak English, and at 12 you had to translate all of his contracts into English, and that, made you interested in business, that's a good story that I've seen. But that's because it's your story and not the story of your father being in business or your aunt or your grandparents or whoever that person is. You want to tell your own dream and not somebody else's. And please, this is my biggest pet peeve, even though it is actually in the prompt that they give you, and you should not be answering all the questions of the prompt, please do not use the phrase passion for business. This is my biggest pet peeve. This phrase does not actually mean anything, because I don't know what you mean by passion, and I certainly don't know what you mean by business, since in the end, business is just about anything that involves money in this society. So I don't know how you can have a passion for all of that. So please be specific. If you have a passion for something, make it really tight. I've had students who did have a passion for very specific areas of finance and read very obscure texts to get more and more information about it. That would be a way to talk about it. But just a passion for business says nothing to the people who are reading your essay. In addition to those three pieces of the application, you can also submit up to 3 letters of recommendation. If you submit more than 3, please note that they will randomly throw out the 4th, 5th, or 6th one. And those could be your best, so you certainly don't want to go beyond the 3. Also know that you don't have to have 3. One really good letter of recommendation is much better than 3 that just say she was in my class and she got an A. We already know what grades you got. They're going to be on the transcript, and that information is going to be available to the admissions committee. These can be from anyone who has a relationship with you, not just someone you got a good grade from. So it would be better to have a really good letter from your English teacher, if that's someone who you sit down with every semester and touch base, than your business statistics professor, who will only be writing a letter saying what rank you are in class. You want someone who can speak to who you are and what your dreams. It really comes down to a good letter of recommendation can do one of 2 things. Either one, it can reinforce the information that you are already talking about. So if in your essay, you talk about how you are really creative and come up with fabulous ideas and have the technological skills to put those ideas into motion, and you have a boss who you did all of that for and can speak to that, they should be talking about what that is, and you should ask them to discuss that. Or that person can be bringing in new information. So you say, I'm really creative and I have this technical knowledge and I can put those ideas into action. But here is also this professor who's also can talk about how I'm incredibly well-spoken, I'm a good team player, and I show excellent leadership in class. They're adding new information. So those are the two areas that kind of show up well. And you can always ask when you are asking for a letter of recommendation for someone to talk about something specific. As a side note, please do not ask for a letter of recommendation with less than 2 weeks notice until the deadline. That's just rude. But when you do ask for that letter to be submitted, you want to make sure that you provide the person who's going to send in your letter of recommendation with your full name, your UID, and your date of birth, and they should include all of that information with your letter. Your letter can be sent directly from the person who is writing it to lep@umd.edu. If for some reason they want to give it to you in paper, it should be in a sealed envelope with their name signed across the flap in the back, and you can take it to the admissions office. But it is easier if they just email it to lep@umd.edu and they include your full name, your UID, and your date of birth. Remember, when you're filling out the application, it will ask you for a major. If you are planning on double majoring, you can only choose one, and that's okay. You will always be able to add another major once you are into the business school. And know that when you're applying to College Park for business, your admission is not based upon your major selection. So do not think, well, I really want to be a finance and accounting major, but everybody wants to be a finance and accounting major, and so I am going to apply as marketing, because it's not, because lots of people are doing marketing and you don't know what's the most popular major at that moment. And it doesn't make a difference. They are not going to review you based on your major. So be honest, because that's going to be part of that picture you are building for the business school. And if you are thinking of double majoring, that's something you can address in your personal statement. So we do have a workshop that is going to follow watching this video. At that workshop, we're going to meet with you individually, and we will be going over your supplemental materials. So you must come prepared with a draft of your personal statement in a format that can be reviewed virtually. So something that you can pull up on your computer, that you can share your screen so we can see and give you feedback. When we say you must come prepared with a draft, that means not with just a vision in your head. That means not with only like a sentence or two on a page. That means you should spend the time actually writing up an essay. You may, and most likely will, end up entirely rewriting it. You should not be surprised when that happens after attending one of our workshops, but we do need something to start with to give you the best information possible. If you do not come with a draft of your personal statement to your business admissions workshop that you have signed up for, we will ask you to leave and sign up for a later workshop. If we don't have something to work with, there's nothing we can do at that time. We don't have the time to help all of the students if we're just brainstorming with everybody. If you want to brainstorm about these things, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, talk to your advisor, but you are going to need to do that on your own time. In addition to your personal statement, you can also bring a copy of your resume for advice on your submissions for the first two questions that we discussed, the jobs and internships and the leadership and volunteer sections. We will help you with that why, not what, and information that you are providing in the bullets that you put in there. You can do this in Google Docs, that would be fine. You can also do it in whatever works for you. Just again, you want to actually have actual materials that you can submit and show us and share that screen during your virtual admissions workshop. And if you do not have them, again, you will be asked to leave and come back at a later workshop. So to register for a business admission workshop, after you watch this video, you will be asked to do an admissions quiz. All of the answers to that quiz are included in the video that you just watched. You will then be taken to a registration page. You can attend only one workshop. Again, we only have so much time and we have a lot of students to help. So you're going to attend one workshop and you are only permitted one no-show. So if you no-show and sign up for another workshop and you no-show for that one and sign up again, we will end up canceling your registration. We need to make sure that the students who are doing this are ready, they're prepared, and we can actually give them the assistance that they need. So do make sure that, again, you are signing up when you are ready and when you know that you will have at least a draft of your personal statement ready. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at a workshop.